So today I'm here with Austin Tchikatilov, also known as the Amazon Man. He's a Russian 23-year-old up-and-coming pro pickleball player. He's a singles duper of 6.2 and a doubles duper of 5.8. He was also able to get the best of me both times we played in a tournament, though I'm planning on changing that the next time we play. Austin currently lives and breathes in the health and wellness world. He's a yogi, a nutritional, sports performance, and biohacking consultant, and a not so bad pickleball player. He's also joining the Pickleball Clinic with an exciting new endeavor, which we'll talk about soon. Austin, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me, Aaron. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So I usually start by asking some specific question to get things rolling in a certain direction. But to be honest, there's so many different interesting things that, have kind of came into your life that you've done in the past. So I'd love to just let you tell us a condensed version of the story of your life.
Absolutely. So just to give people a little background, I grew up in northern New Jersey, your neck of the woods. And growing up, I had an abundance of energy. And so one of the ways that I would expend that energy was sports, and I would be able to run around all day, never really get tired. So I quickly got into competitive sports, and that was like my outlet. So loved playing soccer and basketball growing up, tennis, baseball, a little bit of everything. And luckily enough, I had two very supportive parents who taught me a lot about health and wellness. But as a competitive athlete, even as a young athlete, you get injured. You learn a lot about yourself. I believe sports build character. And so when I sustained a lot of different injuries and I had to go to different therapists and stuff, I'd always be really curious about, okay, like, why is this happening with my body? Like, what can I do to make myself stronger? And be asking the doctors or therapists various questions, because I was a very curious kid. And so I also realized when I was young that I just felt different than a lot of people in a lot of ways. I knew that I had these special gifts, and I feel like we all have these different superpowers that we're trying to discover throughout our life. And for me, I just felt like I was able to connect to people's energies very, very deeply. And I didn't really realize it when I was a kid, but I've always thought of myself as a people person, but I felt like I just felt called to help people heal. And I was trying to figure out growing up, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, I want to be a doctor. What kind of doctor do I want to be? So I'm fast forward a little bit, and I'm actually sitting here at my new chiropractic school. So I ended up deciding to pursue chiropractic medicine and acupuncture. So that comes from a background in learning natural medicine things, especially my mom, who taught me a lot about homeopathy and mind-body therapies and energy medicine and things like that. So growing up, being an athlete, being raised by parents who taught me about the importance of nutrition and exercise and strength training and things like that, sparked the curiosity, and that in conjunction with my passion, just this inner calling to help people and connect to people at a deeper level, really just over time ended up coming together to form what I now like to call high vibe living, which is how I like to live my life and how I like to teach my clients about it. Like, we're here on earth and we have a chance to do life, so why not do everything in our power to thrive, right? I feel like a lot of people, they don't really want to get the most. They don't necessarily, it's not that they don't want to get the most out of life, but they're not thinking about that. They're just trying to get by, and they're in this state of chronic stress. So taking a step back and really focusing on, the basics, mind, body, spirit, health, and doing things in a preventative way, I think is so important. It's something that I've learned throughout my health journey, and I'm trying to share my life experiences and knowledge from my studies, obviously, to help people in that respect.
Absolutely. So, I mean, with all the things you're doing in life in the health and wellness world, you're also a pro pickleball player. I want to talk about that, but I'd first like to quickly go through maybe the background, of your sports career leading up to this point. And I know you're a pretty tall guy, and you've had basketball as part of your sports history. You're wearing a Spikeball shirt. I think there's an interesting story behind that. So could you run through the stats list of kind of your athletic history up until pickleball?
Sure. It's super fun to talk about just because it's very eclectic. And I think that's one of my biggest strengths. I've always seen myself as an athlete that can just pick up any sport. I kind of joke around with people, like, if there's a ball involved, like, I can just kind of pick it up. I have that hand eye. And like you said, I have the physique. I'm tall and strong, but I also am quick. So I feel like I have that balance. So like you mentioned, basketball was kind of like my main focus. I played a little bit of college ball, and my initial goal was to play overseas professionally. And then when I
Oh,
realized
hold
that I
on for the
want,
people. Can you stand up real
yeah,
quick? I just want them to
yeah,
know what we're talking about when we say you're tall. We don't mean a little bit
absolutely.
tall. We mean his
Yeah.
is almost hitting the ceiling right now.
I mean, the ceiling's pretty tall, guys, but yeah, I'm 6'5", maybe 6'6" with sneakers. We don't know. Um, but yeah, so obviously height helps in sports like basketball, right? You can't teach height. So I tried to leverage that as much as I could. And when I transitioned into pursuing medicine, I kind of left basketball behind, but I needed another competitive outlet. So that actually transitioned into powerlifting. So I needed a way to expend my energy, right? So I got into this mode of, okay, how big and strong can I get? How much weight can I move? And then after that, that kind of led to my interest into fitness, weightlifting, nutrition, and wellness, all the stuff that I'm doing now. But also around that time, I started getting into Spikeball. And Spikeball is kind of like a young sport like pickleball. People don't even know that pro tournaments exist and stuff like that. And I found out about it just by seeing people play around, and then they were actually playing it in my gym class in high school. So I started playing just for fun with my buddies, and then realized, hey, this is a sport I could be good at. And then things just kind of aligned, where when I moved to Daytona for school, there were a bunch of other kids who were really into Spikeball, and they were playing tournaments. So I was like, okay, let me get into this. I found a good partner. Me and him ended up qualifying for premier status, which is kind of like the pro level of Spikeball last year. And we got up to like top 20 in the world. And I just think Spikeball is kind of like the ultimate hand-eye anticipation type sport, where it's just you're making quick reads. You have to have great hand-eye, great speed, good agility, and a lot of it's mental too, right? A lot of it's mental. You cannot make a lot of mistakes. You can't make unforced errors, similar to pickleball, just because there's a clear advantage in Spikeball to the team that is receiving, similar to pickleball in that way. So a little bit of pro Spikeball, and then once I came across pickleball, I just fell in love with it immediately. And kind of the same scenario. I didn't know people even played the sport competitively, didn't know there was professional level. And once I started to get good, I realized, okay, I have a little bit of a tennis background, and I played some ping pong and stuff. So I feel like my racket skills are good. I have the speed and agility. So I feel like Spikeball actually helped me prepare for pickleball, and has made my transition a little bit easier. So it was cool to see, because I've also ran into some other Spikeball pros that are already or in the process of transitioning into being a pickleball pro. So it's just cool because it's such a great community. And that's the one thing I love about sports like Spikeball and pickleball, where it's still smaller and tight knit, and you're seeing the same people at tournaments. It really becomes family oriented. You make a lot of close friendships. I have friends all over the country now, to where if I'm flying into different cities, I'm like, hey, like I'm doing this or whatever. You want to meet up, link up? And it's so great. It's great networking. So I love it.
You have a nickname. You're not just known as Austin. You're also known as the Amazon Man. I don't think this
Yes.
is talking about getting your packages in one day or two.
No, no.
So where does that come from?
Yeah, so the Amazon Man is a nickname that I've been embracing for the past 5 or 6 months. And I got that nickname at a tournament in Charlotte. It was the PPA in Charlotte. I think it was in March. And I was playing Tyson McGuffin on Championship Court, which was fun. I think this was like my first streamed match on Championship Court. I had my family and friends watching at home, and I also had some people there, and tons of people were watching in the crowd. And I played really, really well. I forced a 3-game match with Tyson, and had my chances, had a match point to close it out. He ended up beating me like 12-10 in the third, but it was super fun, epic, great points. I was moving all over the place, just felt kind of in the flow. And then this lady comes up to me after the game, and a bunch of people were congratulating me, saying I played really well. And of course, I'm upset that I lost, but I really did give it my all, and I felt like I played solid. So I was happy with how I played. And she goes, you know what everyone was calling you over there, or what we were calling you over there? And I was like, no, what? And she goes, Amazon Man. And when she said it, it was like a light bulb went on my brain. I was like, wow, that's so cool. It just resonated with me almost immediately. And she was explaining just kind of because of my build, like I'm tall, I'm athletic, and the way that I move is, I guess, Amazonian in a way. And I thought it was cool just because I think of myself as a very nature oriented guy. I'm very hippie-ish. I like to be connected to the earth. So I was like, wow, like I'm embracing my inner wild, you know. So it's developed into this mode that I try to get into when I play. So I just try to activate Amazon mode, like people have their beast mode or whatever. But for me, Amazon mode basically encompasses like being wild, being focused, and then being free. So, and I like to also relate that to mind, body, spirit. So
Absolutely.
kind of, yeah. So kind of like a wild body moving all over the place, kind of primal, and then focused mind, because you still got to be focused and grounded while you're playing. You can't be all spacey and all over the place. And then just free spirit, because that's how people describe me when they see me play. They know I'm high energy, I'm all over the place. So just try to bring all that to the court, and just to what I do in life.
Yeah. So you're up match point against Tyson McGuffin, who's not a bad player himself. He's one of the top couple players in the world on the
Absolutely.
single side. And what's going through your head? Match point. You're about to serve. Crowd
Dude,
is silent. What are you thinking?
dude. So honestly, I actually, when I was in such in a flow state during that match, it was like any other point to me. It was just, to me, it was just like, all right, you know, I'm just gonna go for my shots like I'd been going for all game. And so I served it, good serve. He returned to my backhand. I go for a backhand down the line, which I had done a couple of times. I missed it by, maybe 5-6 inches. So that was my chance. And then I made a couple of mistakes. He ended up pulling away, but no regrets. You know, I went for it. Like, do I think it was the best shot? Looking back at the tape, like, yeah, I could have went cross court, but that's what I felt in the moment, and I really wasn't thinking. That was just instinct. So again, if I'm gonna lose a match like that, I want to go out on my terms, right? I don't want to play passive. I want to go for that winner. And so no regrets. No regrets. It was a fun match, and I've had a couple close matches with some of the top guys, and I just realized that a lot of it's just experience and learning how to close out those kinds of games. And that's
Yeah.
something that I'm still working on, and training myself, mentally and physically, to be able to close those games out when you've put yourself in a position to finish it off, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the ways you are kind of differentiating yourself as a player, someone helping other players outside of pickleball and inside pickleball is using that holistic mind, body, health and wellness approach. You know, it's not just let me train, let me think about strategy. It's
Right.
let me think about how I can leverage my mindset, my state of being, to be as composed but as ready, for every situation as possible. So, can you talk briefly about your views on the importance of having a well-rounded mind body kind of way of looking at life, mind body holistic approach, and then compare that to being a high performance athlete?
Yeah. So the wonderful thing about taking a holistic approach to life is it translates to the pickleball court or any sport in such a beautiful way, because you're considering yourself, mind, body, spirit, and all these interconnected systems. And you're recognizing that there's things that you have to do to take care of these systems on a daily basis. Now, how do you relate that to performance? Well, for instance, for me, how the way that I take care of my mental health is things like meditation, listening to music, visualization. So these things that I'm doing in my daily life, or to prepare for a tournament, are priming my neuromuscular system to be able to perform at the highest level when I'm actually on the court, moving my body, using my different muscles and things like that. And then at the same time, I just, when I'm competing or when I'm doing things in life that I'm very passionate about, I want my spirit to shine out, right? I want people to be like, wow, like he's having fun. He's really exuding joy and radiance when he's playing or when he's doing things. Because like we were talking about before, being in that flow state, you're not really thinking about too much. And I believe that like our true essence is really just shining out whenever we're doing something that brings us joy and peace and love. And so that can be, you could find that in things that you do as far as like work or just the simple things throughout the day, but also in sports, because at the end of the day, I feel like sometimes people forget like why they got into the sport in the first place, because especially for us professionals, when it becomes the way that you're making your living, you can put a lot of pressure on yourself, and then other emotions start to creep in, and then you have maybe self-doubt and fear and things like that. And then I always, when stuff like that comes up for me, although it doesn't rarely come up, I try to just bring myself back to a state of gratitude. And you can do the same thing in the middle of a match that you could in a situation or hardship in your regular life where you're having maybe an argument with your spouse or loved one, or you're having trouble at work or having an issue with somebody else, or you're just like not feeling like yourself, right? Returning to gratitude, using the breath, using breath work to prepare for performance gets you mentally alert and awake. It also primes your body to be able to perform. So, and then also using breath work to help manage stress in your daily life, and just taking a moment to breathe or let out a nice sigh if you're just feeling overwhelmed from all these different things that you may have going on in your life. So some of these little things just coincide so well. So it's not like these two things exist in different boxes, right? It's all intertwined. And actually, once you arm yourself with all the tools in your daily life where you feel like, okay, I'm strong and resilient, and I feel like I have my routines down, it translates wonderfully into sports and other endeavors that you may have.
Yeah, so I want to talk for a sec about the effect that the climate of a competitive match could have on a player. You know, I hear so many players that I coach or that are members of our Facebook group or online communities talking about the stresses of being up in a match and then their opponents come back, or they always go down first in a match before they actually play well. And you know, I think there's a big separation between the quality of play many players have in rec when they're just playing around for fun, and then when they step on the court, it's very tough to play a match that you care a lot about and know that you're not playing to your potential. And usually
Yes.
there's a big mental aspect. I mean, my father, who's in a similar world as you, you know, mind, body, mental wellness, one thing he always has kind of really stressed for me to focus on is disconnecting with the outcome. You know, playing
Right.
the game for joy, for the love of the game. You know, every time someone hits me a forehand, think in my head, thank you for letting me practice my forehand. Oh, they're hitting a great drive. Thank you for letting me practice my volley. Oh, like,
Yeah.
looking at everything piece by piece as just trying to get better, become the best version of yourself. So from your perspective, how can competitive, you know, pickleball players play their matches with as free of a mindset as possible and use their mental state to help them play to the maximum, you know, the maximum of their abilities?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, like you alluded to, the big picture mindset is so huge, right? So understanding that wherever you are in the sport, 4-0, 5-0, pro, etc., understanding that it's a journey, right? So enjoying every little part of that process. If you are trying to jump levels, enjoying the drilling or even sometimes the losses. I know it's kind of counterintuitive to think of losing as being joyful, and usually you're not going to be joyful, but I'm certainly not joyful after I lose, but actually I just look at it as a learning opportunity, right? So for instance, like you mentioned, if somebody's having trouble performing in, let's say, a competitive environment, but they're kind of thriving in that rec environment, it's like, okay, what kind of mindset or how am I feeling in this rec game, and why is it different than when I'm playing in a competitive match? So where is the disconnect happening? Are you getting tight because you're putting more pressure on yourself? Are you more relaxed when you're playing with friends and you're playing loose and that's when you play your best? So how can you mentally bring yourself to a spot where you're playing in that rec game mindset on championship court or in a competitive place, right? So for instance, my Spikeball partner and I used to say when we would be at these tournaments around the country, we'd be in a match or maybe a timeout, and we'd just say to each other, we're at the rec, we're at the rec where we trained, where we practiced, where we built our synergy, right? So it's all about trusting your training at the end of the day, and trusting your routines, and leaning on that in the toughest points and toughest spots in those matches where it's really tight. Because you have to have that self-efficacy. You have to have faith in yourself that you can win no matter the circumstances, right? You could be down, whatever. You may have lost a set 11-0, but whatever, that has to be ancient history, and you got to be in the present moment, ready to perform, giving it your best. And at the end of the day, that's all you can do. 100% effort, and like you said, positive mindset throughout.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something again that my father prompted me to do, which I do before every match I play. Is I quickly, this takes me anywhere from 5 to 20 seconds, but I'll close my eyes. I'll say three things. I'll say I choose to play with joy to remind myself that I'm there to have fun. I choose to play like a winner. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be, respectful, presentable, play with sportsmanship, and then I do a quick real type of imagery where I basically see myself walking off the court, smiling with the mindset that I just won. Of course,
Yeah.
it's not all about winning, but if you visualize, that usually helps create reality to some degree.
Yes.
So,
Yes, absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
I'm curious with all the different things that you kind of bring to this planet to offer. I have an interesting question, might be
Mhm.
somewhat of a curveball. Um, everybody believes in different things, why we're here, how we got here. Let's entertain the premise that we're all here for a reason. Each of our souls were put on this earth for some defining purpose. What would you say if you had a minute to describe why is the reason you were put on this earth?
Yeah, a lovely question, and I'm well prepared for it because I have my own mission statement. It's just a simple one sentence thing, and I'll share it with you in a second. But I encourage everybody and all my clients and family members and friends to just have that sentence or that phrase of why you're here, why you feel like your soul is here, and what your mission is when you're here on this earth, and what really brings you that joy and what you're most passionate about. And so for me, I remind myself of my mission statement, my level, my deepest commitment in life every morning and every night. It's kind of like how I start my day and how I end my day, which is just great for creating routine and all that stuff. So for me, I say my deepest commitment in life is to, number one, to heal, because like I told you before, I've felt called to be a healer, and that's why I'm pursuing a degree as a doctor. And then number two is to lead people on a path of high vibe living, which is all the stuff that I'm doing in regards to the nutrition coaching, the fitness coaching, the mental performance coaching that I do, and the mindfulness things that I bring to the table as a yoga teacher and things like that. And the way that I live my life, because I want the way that I live my life to be my message to the world. And that's what Gandhi said. And I think that's so powerful because people can be inspired by how you live your life, and just by watching. You don't even need to do things sometimes, but just the way that you show up in certain situations or the way that you carry yourself can be such a motivator, and it can really like just start a spark within somebody else, and you may not even know. But that's why I just really try to do all these things to take care of myself and make sure I am bringing that positive energy into all these different areas of my life, because I know that when I'm encountering people in my day-to-day life, I want to make sure that I'm connected to my highest self and they're seeing, the best version of myself.
Yeah, I think having that mission statement is something that certain people do, definitely not everybody. And having that statement is going to be something that kind of provides you with a greater sense of clarity in life. And
Yeah.
the truth is, some people may not develop theirs till they're 20, till they're 30, till they're 50. It takes time, it takes a little bit of effort. For
Yeah.
some it takes effort, for some it takes waking up and just realizing. um
Yeah.
it's such an important thing, I think, to have. And if you don't have it, I would, I guess, prompt you to try and think about it for a second. It definitely, I would like to think I have one as well. And in the realm of kind of being able to, create ideas, grow ventures, add to the world, be a connector,
Yeah.
communicator, which is what I'm trying to do. And you could take that mission statement, apply it to a bunch of different things. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I had no idea I would be in the pickleball world, but I still had that same mission statement of trying to grow ideas, connect people. And, I was able to fall in love with pickleball. And then I paired my mission statement with pickleball and started to kind of do these various things. Um, you
Nice. Nice.
mentioned some of your clients. I'm just curious, can you list you call them services or products? I know you do a
Hmm.
lot to just help people,
Yeah.
whether they're people with, whether it's mental or physical or emotional, setbacks in their life. You want to, again, use your mission statement to help their lives. So curious if you could just kind of go through the things that you
Yeah.
offer and how they could find you.
Yeah, 100%. So with me and my education so far, I I like to focus on different aspects of lifestyle coaching. So my master's degree is in functional medicine, which I like to view as kind of lifestyle medicine. And that kind of encompasses nutritional medicine and mind body therapies, like we were talking about, and strength training and all these other things. So that's what I offer for people. I do consults related to biohacking, which is all about changing your outer environment to optimize your inner biochemistry and biology with things like food and all these things that we have access to, and we can just do on a daily basis that make a huge difference in the long run, right? So a lot of it is just preventative healthcare. Another thing is I like to write customized fitness regimens and recovery programs for athletes. So I've been working with pickleball athletes. I'm going to be working with a spikeball athlete soon, actually. And I really enjoy working with athletes just because I am one myself, but I enjoy coaching athletes because I know the importance of periodizing training and tapering before tournaments, and also bringing in that mental component is huge for a lot of people, because a lot of people have the physical stuff down and they're just like missing that key mental piece that'll take them to the next level. So I enjoy doing that as well. And then clinical nutrition involves people with chronic diseases, people just looking to lose weight, gain muscle, body recomposition type stuff. And it can be really transformational for people, just changing the nutrition. But so I have all these services like I'm talking about now, but with my clients, I really like to focus on whatever area is going to be the biggest win for them, right? So for somebody, like for instance, the guy I was talking to last week, he was telling me about his stress levels and how that was affecting him negatively. And so he was wanting to increase his workout load and stuff like that. But I told him, look, if you really dial in on your stress management, it'll allow you to get more to your workouts, and then you'll see more results in that way. So I like to take a deep history, get a sense of where people are coming from, what their goals are, and realistically, what can they manage right now? How busy is their life? How committed are they to changing, right? Because it's a journey, it's a health journey. So I just I look at myself as a facilitator for people on their own health journeys, and it's just a collaborative relationship where I'm getting their feedback, I'm making suggestions, and then I'm just part of their health and performance team.
I think also, at least to me, and from knowing you a little bit, my guess is that part of the reason why you're effective and successful at helping people and doing what you do is because not only you're good at it and you've studied it, but you have a deep sense of love and passion behind it.
Yeah.
I don't think people value enough the importance of doing what you love. Of course, you need to provide for yourself or your family, but there's a huge aspect of life where if you love what you're doing, that will make life more enjoyable. You'll also probably be better at your craft and probably be able to find more lucrative ways of using that craft. Could you speak a little bit on the way you look at doing what you love in life, and to help build up your sense of kind of who you are?
Yeah, that's such a good point, Aaron, because doing what you love, I think, is one of the most important things, because when you're doing something that you love, you find creative outlets and ways to make a living, right? And that's exactly what you were touching upon. So yeah, there's going to be points in your life where you may be having one area of your life that's bringing you a lot of income, and maybe it's not bringing you as much joy, but you have maybe some smaller things that you love doing, right? But maybe it's not bringing you as much financial benefit. But the perfect situation would be, yeah, you're doing what you love and it's bringing you an abundance of money and everything that you need. But that in and of itself, I feel like is an art, right? But that's all about attracting different things, being open to different things, right? And also when you're doing something that you love and you're connecting to other people who share that passion, so many networks open up, right? And then you're sharing ideas. And like with you and I, for instance, we hit it off immediately when we met. We had that holistic wellness connection. And now we're doing a freaking pickleball wellness show. It's going to be awesome. So again, there's beautiful synergy that happens when you're doing what you love, and then you find other people that are also doing something in a similar realm, right? And it can open up all these different doors and opportunities for you to make money and make a living and have fun and all that good stuff. The key thing is, are you open to it, right? And if you're not, working within yourself to remove those blockages so that all the abundance can flow your way.
Absolutely. And you kind of just mentioned you mentioned a new show. So big exciting news, we're going to be launching this show. Austin, you're going to be taking away a really exciting new venture with the Pickleball Clinic. You're going to be launching a podcast, a YouTube interview series. You'll be interviewing a bunch of players, pickleball players and other people in the pickleball world. You'll dive into the health, wellness, and fitness realms of pickleball, sharing your journey and their journeys. And that's going to be coming out pretty soon. So really excited about that. We have a first guest in mind. Do you want to announce the guest, or you want to keep it a surprise?
We're gonna keep it on the DL. We're gonna keep it as a surprise. We're hoping to do it as an in-person interview. I think it'll be great coming up at the PPA Orlando. So there's a hint. It's somebody who's playing in the PPA Orlando, but that doesn't really narrow it down because there's like 1,000 people playing in that tournament. But looking forward to that, and just again connecting to other like-minded people, pickleball pros, and just learning from each other, man. We're all here on our various journeys, but I think one of the beautiful things about life is that when we connect to do podcasts and just have conversations like these, we're not only learning more ourselves, but we're sharing with the greater community things that have worked for us, things that haven't worked for us. And it just goes to serve people for the highest good at the end of the day, because if they can just get one thing that impacts their life in a positive way, then I'm happy. Then that's awesome to me. Right. So that's the goal.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the world to see it. Any last thoughts or words you want to share with the pickleball world, with our pickleball community? Anything about your journey, or any lessons you want them to take away with?
Yeah, I think I'll leave our audience with a thought, because you mentioned community, and I think regardless of whether you're into pickleball or another sport, I think it's so important that you're working to build that community or that tribe. We all need a tribe. We are social beings, right? So going out of your way to connect with people, and technology makes it easier, obviously, to connect with people all over the world. So using outlets like social media and just getting out in your community and volunteering or doing different things that you are passionate about, I think is a wonderful way to connect with other human beings. And then again, just bring yourself joy and just share that love with everybody. Kumbaya.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. A lot more exciting things coming from you and coming from the Pickleball Clinic very soon. So I appreciate your time and
Yes,
looking forward to seeing what comes of all this.
absolutely, man. Super stoked.